that's an example of, yeah, you try to go with the cycle. I would say the black swans are not, black swans anymore. There's like all there is in the lake, right? Is, you know, and everything has to line up. And we had a downside protection, right? A plan, okay? We had a meeting every day, sell these ships, sell some ships to Bob and, put some on sale leaseback and to do some things that were probably more than we needed to do, but you don't know when the market's going to turn and you want to make sure that the balance sheet is strong.
But Bob's good in a bad market, right? We've had to, use his services in the dark
He's
times
a good partner.
too,
He's a good partner.
He's sort of like one of those, we read about him in the medieval stories of the, so, what's your, I'll give you a little bit of time to think about it. What do you think your gift superpower is? I mean, I know, I'm told by my 15-year-old daughter what mine is, okay? And that's I'm lucky, okay?
Okay.
It's that simple, right? It's so.
Okay. I would say, as told to me by one of our hedge fund prior owners who I tussled with left and right, I said, you made me sharper. I had to learn more finance because of you. And he sat there for a minute and he said, well, you're scrappy. And I'm like, I'll take it. I'll take scrappy because I think that, you got to be resilient. All of us have been through these cycles and you have to pivot. And if you are going to fold up your tent easily, you're not going to be here anymore.
So in our business, we have to, and it's great pluses. Have to deal with people all the time, whether it's in the organization, outside the organization. You would interacted, I'm sure, with a number of people here today. So what are three qualities in people that you have to interact that you like? Who are the type of people that you like
Three
to
is
deal
a lot.
with? Three is a lot. If you go one,
I'm teasing. No.
One is fine. If you need to, but what is it that?
Okay.
What is it that you go, wow,
I love people who make the pie bigger, right? So if I go back to those 6 Generate Vs, that was Patty Rogers. Euronav and International Seaways, or OSG before, we had a 20-year relationship. We're in Tankers International together. We took a couple of ULCCs and turned them into FSOs, which will strain a partnership. There were many challenges before that began to really pay off. And Patty says that, in 2011 when Mats Berglund left and then, he says, you came to me and said, you're doing everything wrong. I don't believe that that's what I said. However, I did say, let me work on Morton. Everybody was fighting. We were on off-hire. The 2 teams are fighting. I said, let me work on Morton, and you need to bring your best self to the table. And the blessing was that collaboratively, we were able to succeed. And in order to do that, you have to be vulnerable. You have to trust. And in our industry, it's just hard, right? And so then when he was doing that major lift of Generate, he called up and said, hey, do you guys want 6 Vs? And we're like, yes. That was on the back of a relationship over the decades where we trusted. And I think if you can build on trust and develop that by, that's ideal. That's ideal. We can transact all the time, but to really build a relationship is tricky. So I love that where if you can have a relationship so that someone can trust you and be transparent enough, I think you can, make the alchemy. And, let's make the pie bigger, right? So that you want to finish first? My husband says, you like to finish first, but you want everyone to finish.
What's the opposite? So like in employees or people, what sort of, if someone shows you a character trait and he kind of just makes you go, oh my God,
No fire, no passion. Mm-hmm. I have like 4 categories of our personalities, right? And those who know better and do better. That's, I would strive to be that every day. And then, people who don't know better but can't do better, that's okay. But if you know better and you don't do better, I got no time for it, right? You don't, oh, it's not in my job. The company has retooled so many times. Whatever I was doing then, I'm not doing now. And so I think you have to be flexible and pivot and have that attitude of, okay, we're going to get it done, right?
Cool. Would anybody in the audience like to ask Lois a question? Bob, the market's still too strong for you to take another ship.
I just make a comment. When I interview people, of course, you can't ask a lot of the questions you want to ask because you get in trouble. But my favorite question is, tell me about your first job. And if someone said, I just finished Ivy League school such and such, and I got an internship at big company such and such, I'm like, I don't want to deal with you. If someone says my first job was shoveling horse manure and milking cows, I'm like, okay, this is a person I can deal with. And I think it's one of the most attractive qualities about you is where you came from and what you've done with it. And I'm sure people who work for you or people you interact with at your level, especially as a woman, it gives you credibility beyond what other people can have. When you say you started here and you went to sea, which so many CEOs have not done, whether it's actually relevant that moment in time or not, gives you a status. I think that's really important in a room that's crowded.
No. Thank
Now
you,
say
Bob.
something good about me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I would say that I think we have in our 50 people in the office, maybe 16 to 18 different nationalities, and I got to be careful I don't get in trouble. But we just recently hired a young Venezuelan who's just whip smart, and the HR guy was like, oh, what do you think? It's one of these supportive visas, where it's, and I'm like, I love it, because these are hungry people. And, people that are trying to earn their way up. And we had this Dr. Hussein come in and teach us about EQ and empathy. And he did this privilege test, and it was a lot of fun. And he went through the whole thing, and I spoke to one of our immigrant, women the other day, and she said, well, it made me sad. I didn't have any, it's all about how many points you have, right? And so if you kind of came from humble beginnings, you might not have any points. And then if you come from a, very nice upbringing, you may have a lot of points. And she said, well, I felt bad. I didn't have any points. And I said, I didn't have any damn points. Be proud. Be proud. Like, look at what you've done, right? Where you've come from. I mean, this young woman is from Puerto Rico, and she's doing commercial operations for International Seaways. And I think that rocks, wherever you come from. I think it's great.
And I just want to add another word. As somebody who is also from the Midwest, I was a pharmacist's daughter, not a farmer's daughter, but discipline. You've brought so much discipline, but also vision to the table, Lois. And it has been an inspiration, not just for women, but for men. So next year's experiment, which I hope becomes a reality, not an experiment, is going to be so exciting to watch, and I know it'll be successful. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you so much,
I
Carlene.
think just to pick up on what Bob was saying, and we know he was going for a discount on the next sale there. But,
Absolutely.
I actually think there's a
The Bob special.
I actually think you would have made it to the top even if you'd been a man, right? So.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you. You know what? Every I say, with our sailors in this program that we're doing with the women going to sea, the men are not the problem. The men are the solution. How many times in, there just so happen to always be men at sea or always be men around me. How many times a good man stepped in and made my life better? I can't tell you.
Good, please.
I'd just like to add, as someone who was very lonely starting my career over 40 years ago. Maybe it's longer than that now. No, I was in kindergarten, Bob.
You're experienced.
What a total pleasure and how proud I am to have been serving on the board of Seaway since 2016 and to have watched you just grow and thrive and change the direction and take the significant risks that we have at tough times, garnering great support from the board and the management team. That it's just been a fantastic experience. I hope it will continue. And I promise, so that your husband won't get mad at us, that I will try to improve my language during
Oh,
our
no.
phone calls.
Oh yeah, he don't like that.
So
He-
that
yeah,
we
he
don't
thinks-
get lectures about certain words that we
He thinks
drop
I
on
could
our
do
phone
better.
calls all
Let's
the
just
time.
put it that way.
So
yeah.
I promise to be a better person.
Thank you, Randy, and thank you for your leadership and, you know, leading the way. It's a strong woman in finance and shipping in general.
Lois, I think it's fair to say that everyone's real proud of your achievements, and you know, look forward to, you know, watching more in the future, and you know, also your continued continued giving back, and you know how the generation underneath you do, right? Yeah. So,
No, absolutely. You know, what we do next is what matters, right?
yep.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you, Robert.
Thank you.